Hello everyone, welcome to chapter 2. In this chapter, we will talk about computers, the machines that are behind the computing. Some of the learning outcomes for this chapter will be to define a computer system and describe its components. We will discuss the history of computer hardware and software. We will also talk about the factors distinguishing the computer powers of computers. And we will summarize the computer operation. Also, we will take a look at the computer system and how we use input, output, and memory devices in these machines. We also talk about how computers are being classified, and we will focus on two major types of softwares that are out there. Also, we will talk more about the generation of computer languages. From chapter 1, we have learned that computers can be used in everyday lives. Computers have changed dramatically over a few years. They got cheaper and faster. We even use them in any industry, such as banking, hospitals, just to check our courses, to register for our courses. Also, computers can even be embedded into our TV or microwave. NASA also uses computers as well. So basically, what is a computer? Computer is a machine that accepts data as an input. So it gets data as an input, and then it processes by human interaction and produce something that's called output. Instructions in the computers are being called programs. There are many computer languages available, and we call them program source code. Source code translates into objects, binary from 0, 1, and so on. So program takes step-by-step direction for performing a specific task. We have heard this before, garbage in, garbage out. Basically, the rule is if you submit garbage data, your information will be garbage and it's not going to be any use for anybody. So this terminology is called as garbage in, garbage out. Writing a computer programs requires that we identify the objective and method of achieving that objective. First, we have to actually find out what we want to do with this program. And then what are the best languages or maybe the right languages that we can select in order for us to meet our goals and objectives. So selecting the right program or the right language depends on the problems being solved and what kind of computers are being used. As I have mentioned before, a program is called a source code, basically. And the source code must translate into object code, which is the object code consists of binaries, zeros, and ones. For components of computer systems, we have two major components. One of them is hardware, the other one is software. Hardware, when we are talking about hardware, we are talking about physical devices such as keyboard, monitors, and CPU. When we are talking about the software, we are talking about the programs which is written in computer languages. Okay, what is a CPU? Well, CPU is the main memory where the computer stores its data. Basically, you can call CPU a heart of computers. CPU is divided into two sections. Arithmetic logic units, which is called ALU, which performs the mathematical calculations such as adding, subtracting, dividing, multiplying, and also comparison and relational operations. CU, which is called the control unit, it instructs the computers which device to read or send output to. It's basically controlling the part of the CPU. So computers can either have single or multi-processes. Multiprocessors, they use 2 or more CPUs in a single computer system. This is actually the picture shows us the building of blocks of a computer, which we just talked about. The input is that data that comes into the system. We have our central processing system, which contains of ALU and CU, and then we have our main memory. So this is where the process is happening, and then we have our output devices, which turns that data into information, and the output can be shown in terms of report. It can be viewed on the computer monitor. It could be viewed on the computer dashboard, and so on. Another component of a computer system is called bus. Bus links between devices that connected to the computer. So we will have 2 types of bus, internal or external. Internal bus enables communication between internal components such as video card and memory. External bus is actually doing the communication between external devices such as USB. There are other components that also can affect the performance of operating systems, such as the processor size and the type of operating systems that we are using. Disk drive is peripheral devices for recording, storing, and also sometimes we use to retrieve information from the disk. We have another component in a computer system, which is called CPU. CPU is like basically a box, or we call it a tower, that is containing the computer's main components. It is basically holding all these computer main components into a case. And then we have the motherboard, which is the circuit board containing connectors for attaching additional board. And that's the main circuit board that we could have on our computer. So this is another diagram that shows the CPU, and that also it shows the CPU case. And one other thing that sometimes you might wonder, we talk about 32 bits and 64 bits processor. Well, the 64-bit processors perform calculation of larger numbers more efficiently. And in overall, the performance of 64-bit processor is better than 32. But 64-bit processor needs to have the 64-bit operating systems.